And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I'm inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. And what's great about it? They have the best vehicles. It's the only place I go. It's the only place I've been for over a decade. Great Lakes Honda City, formerly you knew it as Honda City of Liverpool, and now Great Lakes Honda City, there for you, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, New York. I got my awesome 2025 Honda CR-V, black on black on black. And I love it so very much. So, they spoiled me a few years ago with the car that I got. And now I'm like, I gotta stay with it, man. I like my sunroof. I like my leather seats. I like my heated seats. And of course, I love the Honda products. So make sure you get out there today. They're open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Let them know the DT sent you. Thanks to Elijah, Malik, Mark, and the team at Great Lakes Honda City. And of course, you can get a sneak peek by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Where are we? We're wherever you are. That's right. Literally wherever you are right now. If you have the internet, you got us. YouTube.com, Facebook.com. Both /Wake Up Call DT and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. We'll be with you this morning until around 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And Murphalation Station for the Nation. Not an easy thing to say, but I figured out a way to do it. He is here with us this morning. He's with us every Monday, but we moved things around this week. We had a little, take a bunch of cups and find where the ball is at because we were moving some things around. And so Monday we did a Bearcat takeover on-site, on location, live from the event center at Binghamton University to welcome back the students, student-athletes, coaches, administration, and staff for the 2025-26 academic year. You can watch that entire broadcast, or you can watch it in a 5-part series, however you want to watch it, on YouTube and Facebook, both .com/wakeupcalldt. It's also been shared on X at Call DT, so make sure you check it out. So that moved Murph to Wednesday, and yesterday we did a bunch of fantasy football. But from here on out, Murph is Monday, the Bearcats are Tuesday, fantasy football power hour is back, and that'll be here with us Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So you may be asking yourself, Dan, what's going to be Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time? Well, you will find that out in just a few days. I cannot wait to share that information with you. On September 3rd, the 9 a.m. slot of Wake Up Call is getting an all-new guest and a wonderful new business. So I'm excited to share that with you. On September 1st, we will be off for Labor Day, but I will be making 3 announcements because when I take a day off, I commonly still work in some way. So I'll be making not 1, not 2, but 3 announcements, 3 new partners joining the Wake Up Call family, all on September 1, and you're going to find out that morning. So do not miss it. I know Labor Day is busy, but you don't want to miss these 3 awesome announcements. And so, like I said, on Picture in Picture here with Murphalation for the Nation, we'll be talking about Major League Baseball. He's wearing the Mets. Why? Why is he wearing the Mets right now? Because he loves them. Because he loves them. But here's my thing. I want Murph to wear the Mets when they're 0-10, which he does. And when they're 10-0, which he also does. He loves his Mets. He fights with them. He shook his head a little bit here because when they're not doing well, I feel like that's when he washes all the jerseys. But he's wearing the Mets right now. We're going to talk about that. We'll also be discussing the NFL moves. There was a bunch of roster cuts as they had to get to 53 yesterday on August 26th. My buddy James and my grandpa Cavino's birthday. God bless them both. And of course, college football week 1 of 2025. Murph and I will make some picks here, give some thoughts. We'll talk about Georgia, as I'll be down there by the grace of God for a doubleheader Aflac kickoff game. ACC versus SEC, Syracuse versus Tennessee, and then we have Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. And we'll get into some sports cards because I have a really interesting story about some stuff that I bought this week that I didn't mean to buy the way that I did, but I did. But it was interesting. Actually, it was the end of last week that I bought it, but we'll get into how it all got down with Murph. Murph, how we doing?
I am doing great. Mets have beaten the Phillies the first 2 games of the series. Won 9 straight against the Phillies at home. Sorry, Jerry. Sorry or not sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is a Important moment, obviously, right? So as we edge closer and closer to the wild card world that we live in right now, taking a look at the wild card standings and where things are set up, the Mets are now 3.5. They were 1 game ahead. They were 1.5 games ahead. Now they're 3.5 games ahead of the Reds for that last spot in the wild card. They are 6.5 ahead of the Cardinals, and they're 7 ahead of the Giants, 7.5 ahead of my Diamondbacks. Philly's still leading the division. They're 76 and 56, but the Mets are 71 and 61, trying to make a run here. The Mets are 7-3 in their last 10 games. The only other team that has been that good in the playoff hunt in the National League, the Chicago Cubs, who are also 7-3. Phillies, Dodgers, and the Padres all 6-4 in their last 10, and the NL leading Milwaukee Brewers are 5-5. So Murph, your thoughts on how things are shaping up here right now? How do you feel about your Mets? And I know you feel good about this series, but overall, when we look at the playoff picture, 7-3 in the last 10, equaling out the Cubs here as the two best teams in their last 10 games in the National League. Thoughts on how this playoff picture is kind of shaping out?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is the offense they're starting to hit. I mean, that's the major piece, and it's not even necessarily Soto, Alonso, Lindor. It's Beatty, it's Vientos, it's Marte, it's Torrens. Now that with Alvarez out, who's actually going to be starting a rehab assignment today, which is incredibly surprising with the injury that he's dealing with. But the pitching has started to figure things out. The bullpen's gotten better. Helsley's still struggling, but the guys picked him up last night. That was huge. I'm excited to see what happens. I mean, Jonah Tong is getting promoted to pitch on Friday. Nobody was expecting him to get called up this year. And he's going to be getting called up and making the start on Friday against the Marlins. I'm really interested to see how that goes. Hopefully we get Sprode up here at some point soon, and we can kind of get the pitching staff set. I mean, Montas is done for the year, which, I never wish injuries on anybody, but especially now that we know it very well could mean he needs Tommy John, but it works out in the Mets' favor because he was basically providing absolutely nothing to them. Paul Blackburn, they DFA'd last week. Ends up going to the Yankees and gets shelled his first appearance with the Yankees. And Peterson's obviously doing his thing. He's pitching great. Manaea has been good. He just hasn't been efficient. Like, he went 4 2/3 last night. Granted, Mendoza, I don't believe, should have pulled him when he did.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of Carlos Mendoza pulling guys with less than 90 pitches in the 5th inning. Just because they get into a little bit of trouble, but, that's just me. But I'm intrigued to see what happens going forward. I think they finally turned the corner from their June and July worst team in baseball play. And I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to come back and win the division. I mean, it could happen, but it's not likely. But they're going to, get into the playoffs, and after that, who knows? They were the last team in last year, and they managed to they were 2 games away from going to the World Series.
Yeah.
So anything can happen. And the Dodgers have not been great. And that's the team that we all thought was going to be, the greatest team ever on paper. And so far, not so much. I think they actually are no longer in first. No, they are. Okay, they weren't in first place earlier this week. I think the Padres overtook them for a day, but they got it back. I'm optimistic. I'm more optimistic than I have been in recent weeks. As you all know, we've been talking about it. So we'll see what happens there. This is huge to do well against the Phillies. If they can win tonight and sweep, that's even bigger. They'll only be 4 games back. creating even more space between them and Cincinnati, where basically you could be almost a lock for the playoffs, just a matter of whether it's going to be, where in the wild card or in the division race you're going to be. But we'll see. We got to see Helsley start to pitch better. He had a good outing on Monday night, but, last night didn't pitch all that great, and Diaz had to come in and clean up his mess, but he picked him up. I'm excited, and it's, we're getting to the point where we're almost in September here. This is the home stretch. At this point, we are looking at a pennant race with teams in the National League that's basically decided. The Giants aren't making the playoffs. The Cardinals aren't making the playoffs. It's basically just going to be a matter of who's in between the Mets and the Reds, and I don't see the Reds making any sort of run. So the National League playoff field is essentially set. It's just a matter of who's going to finish where, who's going to play who's going to win their division, who's going to get the buys, and we don't know. Obviously, that'll take shape up as we get later in the month, but I'm interested. I'm intrigued. My dad was talking yesterday about how it's football season and he's excited for the Jets, which I am too, but I was thinking to myself at the same time, well, we still have one team that's good, that actually is good. We have another team that's probably not going to be good, so I'd rather watch the team that's good and maybe see them make a deep playoff run again. This would only be the third time in my lifetime the Mets have made the playoffs in back-to-back years. It doesn't happen often. Yep. And just it being in the playoffs doesn't happen often. I mean, you got 99-2000, you got 06, 2015-16, 2022, 2024, 2025. That's 8 years in my lifetime. I'm 27 years old. The Mets have been to the playoffs 8 times. Well, if they go to the playoffs this year, it would be 8 times. That's not fun. But now that they're in the playoffs and hopefully going to be more consistently, this would be 3 out of 4 years that they can actually do something and make some sort of a run, which, who knows? I'm excited. I think if they get matched up with the Dodgers again this year, I think they could beat them. But it's going to depend on pitching. We got to see how Jonah Tong does when he comes up. We got to see if Sproat gets put in the rotation, and if he pitches well, then you got 4 really good starters in Sproat, McLean, Tong, and David Peterson, to the point where you don't even need Kodai Senga to be in your rotation. You don't even need Sean Manaea to be in your rotation. They can be weapons out of the pen. Although, to be honest, I think you're probably going to put Sproat in the bullpen in the postseason. But we'll see. I'm just enjoying the fact that they won the first 2 games against the Phillies. We play the Phillies 5 more times this year. We play them 1 more game tonight, and then 4 in Philly next weekend. I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll see. I do want to give a little shout-out to Zach Wheeler. I know, obviously, he's lost for the year and was diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, and that is an injury or a condition that no pitcher ever wants to hear a diagnosis of, because for a lot of pitchers, it's a death sentence. It's very different than Tommy John. The guys are able to come back, but they're usually not able to come back and be themselves. I mean, if you remember from our perspective, Matt Harvey, 2016, diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, and he was never the same after basically his 2012-13 through 2015 in the World Series, and was absolutely dominant, and then he lost his velo, he had no more command, and that was that. There's really only a handful of guys that have ever come back from this condition to actually be themselves again. And the main one that comes to my mind is Adam Wainwright. He's really the only one that's come back and been productive. Because what they do, from what I understand, is they take out one of your ribs because it's like tensing the nerve or something like that. And I don't know exactly how they do it, but I know they take out a rib in the process of the surgery. I I don't really know how or why that affects guys the way it does, but it's it's a strange thing, and we're starting to see it a little bit more often. I mean, the other name that we hear when you think thoracic outlet syndrome is Steven Strasburg. I mean, he never pitched again. Basically, after their World Series run, he came back in 2020 and briefly in 2021, and that was it. I mean, he never pitched again because he had nothing left. His arm was gone, and it's a shame. But I've never held anything against Zach Wheeler. I still respect Zach Wheeler. I still like Zach Wheeler. I never held it against him that he went to Philly because, obviously I didn't like where he went, but I couldn't blame him for the money they were giving him. And, I said at the time that he wasn't going to be worth the contract, and he proved me wrong. And I'm I'm thrilled for him. I'm glad he proved me wrong. I'm just glad it didn't come at the Mets' expense at any point, which was nice. Although it would have been nice to have him in 2022 when we played the Padres and lost in 3 games. But I'm just excited with where they're going to go, and clearly the camera is excited about you because it wants to zoom in on you right now. Is it like an auto centering of the camera with the new laptop?
It's saying Murph has talked about the Mets for 20 minutes. Dan, say something. That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying. No, I mean, I am happy for your Mets. I'm happy things are going well. My Diamondbacks are 12 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West, so it's been tough. They had some life after the break, and now looking at the Padres, the Padres are only 1 game behind the Dodgers currently. The Mets are 5 games behind the Phillies right now in their division. The Brewers have some distance between them and the Cubs. The Cubs do lead the wild card race, though, but the Cubs are behind the Brewers by 6.5 in the NL Central. And then the Mariners are making it interesting with Houston, as they typically do here. The Rangers are 6 games away from Houston in the AL West. The Mariners are only 1.5 games, and the Detroit Tigers getting close to being back to double-digit lead in the AL Central. They're currently 9.5 ahead of the Royals, 11.5 again ahead of the Guardians, I should say. And then the Toronto Blue Jays keep rocking and rolling. They're 4 games ahead of the Red Sox. They're 4.5 ahead of the Junkies. So happy to see that. I'm really excited for the Blue Jays. I mean, that was my first team growing up as a kid, and it was the first game I ever went to. So went to the Sky Dome to see Joe Carter absolutely with his teammates annihilate the Minnesota Twins at the time. I believe the game was 11-2, and I think Joe Carter homered in the game. I know that he got some bases in the game because I do have some memory of that game. So, I'm excited to see it. I know Papa Joe and I will be breaking it down more tomorrow, but I want to give a little taste, get a little into it, and see how we feel here this morning. And I'm happy your Mets are doing well. I think the world's a better place when the Mets and the Yankees are both in the postseason. So I do look forward to that. And there's only one team with little over 30 games to play. In their case, 32 games to play. With 30-plus games left on the schedule, there's only one Major League Baseball franchise that has been eliminated from postseason contention. That is your Colorado mother-freaking Rockies. They are 38-94, and they're the only team mathematically eliminated from the postseason. Not the Athletics, not the White Sox. Right now, the Rockies have been eliminated. They are 37.5 games out of first place in the NL West. Crazy. So,
yeah,
I do want to jump into.
There was a point.
Go ahead.
Sorry. There was a point this year where we didn't think they were going to win 40 games.
Well, they may not.
They're 2 wins away from that. So they definitely. They still could not. But
yeah.
If they do somehow manage to not win 40 games, that would be seriously impressive, because then that would mean you go 2-30 or 1-31 to finish the year. But yeah, it's. At the beginning of the year, we were talking about this team being worse than last year's White Sox, and they have proven to be a little bit better than that. So good for the Rockies. You're not going to break that record. Hopefully that record stands with the White Sox for a long time. I'm glad I don't have to hear about the 62 Mets anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're only team mathematically eliminated from the postseason in the month of August, at least as of yet.
Yes. So that is where we're at right now. As Papa Joe knows, as long as Arizona's mathematically there, I will keep mentioning it. So they they are mathematically still in the race. And to let you know, we did put a vote up on the former Twitter, X, at CallDT. That's CALLDT. What team would you choose right now to go the farthest in the 2025 Major League Baseball postseason? The Yankees or the Mets? Very early voting has chosen the Yankees. So between between the two boroughs,
You just got lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox. Come on, at home.
between the two boroughs, Murph is like, I'll change that. Mets.
I will change that. I will do it right now.
The early voting is, who would you choose right now of the boroughs? Do you choose the Bronx and your Yankees, or do you choose Queens and your Mets? Who would you choose? Yeah, Murph just voted now.
Just voted for the Mets, so now it's 50-50.
So who would you vote? Very early voting. Just put it up. Who would you vote right now to go the farthest in the 2025 Major League Baseball postseason? Would you choose the Yankees or the Mets? Murph's vote has come through, and in this very early voting, he has, for now, tied the vote. So with that being said, I do want to hop into the moves being made. We're going to go by division in the NFL. I'm not going to talk about every move because the list of players released and waived, long list, but we will go through each team and let you know what's going on. So I am going to get a giant sip of water, take a step aside, and we're going to run through this list division by division. I will go through the teams in each division, pause for Murph and I to discuss, and then we'll go on to the next division. That's the best way to do it with 8 divisions. So we will do that right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do was to shine a little light in their life. That's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. It is time to hop right into the NFL. They had to get down to 53-man rosters for each of the 32 franchises. So we're going to go division by division. I will go through each of the 4 teams in that division, and then Murph and I will discuss the moves. So the Dallas Cowboys still trying to figure out what the heck's happening with Micah Parsons. I asked a question a few years ago. I said, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, who do you take care of? Like, what's your order? And I had Micah Parsons first. Well, they figured out Dak. They figured out CD. Still haven't figured out Micah Parsons. And the season officially starts on Thursday, September 4th, when we have that first game on a Thursday night. So we shall see what happens with the Dallas Cowboys. But hopefully they can figure it out with Micah Parsons, former Penn State Nittany Lion. So Cowboys, looking at what they did here, they traded offensive lineman Asim Richards to New Orleans. Now, the waived and released list, I'm just kind of going through this list here to give you a few notes on each team. We're not going to go through every single player because there's so many. Will Grier was released from the Dallas Cowboys. He did play in the most recent game that they had for the preseason, but he was let go. Also let go Deuce Vaughn, who was in there 3 deep at running back in recent history.
Oh.
And they let go of Syracuse Orange linebacker Justin Barron, who is an undrafted free agent. So God bless, and hopes that everybody finds their way onto a team, including my buddy, Mr. Barron. Also here on the reserved and injured list, wide receiver Jonathan Mingo, who originally was a Panther, and defensive end Peyton Turner. And outside of that, Siobhan Ravel Jr. on the non-football injury. He was drafted this year. He's also somebody I have a relationship with, as he sat with me when I did my American coverage last year, and him being an East Carolina Pirate. So shout out to Siobhan, and hoping that things work out with him. New York Giants, speaking of Syracuse, they cut Tommy DeVito. Let him go. Decided to keep Russ the Bus and Jameis, my favorite, Winston, and then went with, of course, keeping Jackson Dart for the future. Now, this team was not going to have 4 quarterbacks, but I am a firm believer. I've said this before, and I'll echo my own sentiments again. I am in full belief that the Giants made a very smart decision at quarterback when they went in the offseason to get at a reasonable price Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. I feel like they did this for a reason. They know Jackson Dart is going to start at some point this season. I have week 8 circled. Some people have week 6. I have week 8. But I think he will get himself out there at a certain point, depending on how the team's doing. If the team, now this is under the impression that the team is losing. If the team is winning, if they're 7-1, then this isn't going to happen, right? But if the Giants are struggling, I believe we'll see Jackson Dart out there a little bit earlier than the end of the season. But if they're doing well, then obviously you keep riding the bus, if it be the bus, or you keep getting free crab legs if it's Jameis Winston. Now, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, the reason why I think the Giants did this, and getting back to why I think it was a good idea, getting both of these quarterbacks at a reasonable price puts you in a situation where you can trade either one of them. So you decide who your starter is going to be, Russell Wilson, and then you say to yourself, okay, if Russell struggles, then we put Jameis in, we see what happens. Whoever we like and whoever we keep, a few weeks into the season, when an NFL team is struggling at quarterback, there's an injury, God forbid, or something happens, they have trade bait. They can get a pick. They can get something that they need. This was a great decision to bring in 2 vets who have both won championships, Russell in pro, Jameis in college. They both know what it is to be a champion. They have both led teams, multiple teams, as starting quarterbacks. So whoever they have and whoever they roll with before Jackson Dart leaves the other guy to be traded, which gives them an opportunity to be the lead team that somebody calls when they need a quarterback. So very smart decision for the Giants. I hope Tommy DeVito finds a home. So he was let go. Couple running backs, Dante Miller and Jonathan Ward, Greg Dulcich was let go at tight end. He used to be the starting tight end in Denver.
That was surprising.
Yeah, and I know some people were saying stuff about that. And then there's a fantastic name there's two fantastic names. Lil Jordan Humphrey, you might know about here, wide receiver. He was really waived and released. And then this name is just fantastic. Wide receiver Juice Wells. So he is looking for a team right now, keeping it juicy. Philadelphia, looking at what they've done, they brought in tackle Fred Johnson and quarterback Sam Howell. They traded offensive lineman Darian Kennard, acquired offensive tackle Fred Johnson, and quarterback Sam Howell. And rookie Kyle McCord, he was let go here also of Syracuse. So in the NFC East alone, I've named 3 teams in the NFC East, and each of those 3 teams has let a former Syracuse player go, which is sad to see here. Now, wide receiver Terrace Marshall Jr., who was drafted by the Panthers, was on the waived release list of the Philadelphia Eagles this time around. Perry Nickerson, cornerback, also gone from the team. Wide receiver Elijah Cooks, who has never really caught on in the NFL, and I hope that changes for his benefit soon. Montrell Johnson Jr., running back, he was let go as well. I mentioned Kyle McCord, quarterback, who was drafted late. And then Keelan Robinson, who the Jaguars drafted, went to the Eagles, and they drafted him out of Texas. The Jaguars did within the last 2 years, and already let him go, and now the Eagles, unfortunately, have let him go as well. The Washington Commanders, we know that they traded away Brian Robinson Jr. to San Francisco because they feel so good about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, their rookie running back there. They waived or released wide receiver KJ Osborne, who was at Buffalo, then Miami. He has been here on Wake Up Call. Wide receiver Michael Gallup was let go by the Commanders, who used to be a Cowboy. They also let go of Braylon Sanders and Chris Moore, all at the wide receiver position. River Crawcraft, another fantastic name, he was let go at the wide receiver position by the Washington Commanders. They had a ton of receivers on this list, and they also let go of Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman, a former Wake Forest Demon Deacon, starting quarterback. So, Murph, as you hear this, your thoughts on the NFC East and the moves made?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy DeVito, we kind of knew was going to end up getting cut by the Giants. We knew they were never going to carry 4 quarterbacks. We knew they were never cutting Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. That one was only a matter of time. And you know, for his sake, I hope he catches on somewhere. Obviously, he did have his nice little insanity run with the Giants 2 years ago, and hopefully he can catch on somewhere. And he's a productive backup. I mean, he's a guy that can easily be a backup quarterback somewhere. So I could easily see somebody picking him up and having him be their backup QB. As for the Eagles, I was surprised to see Kyle McCord get cut. I was not surprised once I saw them trade for Sam Howell. Will Kyle McCord end up on their practice squad? Will Kyle McCord end up somewhere else? I don't know. I'm intrigued to see what happens with him. The Jets might have a place for him as a third-string quarterback. I mean,
yeah,
don't really have one, I don't think. So, you know, it wouldn't be the worst idea to maybe bring him in as a backup QB and see where that goes. But Washington trading Brian Robinson was not all that surprising with the emergence of this kid. Help me out here.
For what?
The 7th round rookie, the 3-name kid.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
Merritt or something. Yeah.
Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt.
This kid's supposed to be really good, and as a 7th round pick, he's a guy that nobody was expecting to be any good. I threw a claim in on him for on my dynasty league, and I got outbid for him. It's one day waivers, so somebody else happened to look at him the same day I did, and I threw a $2 claim on him, and they threw an $8 claim on him, and they got him. So I was a little disappointed with that one, but you know, that's okay. I won't hold that against JCM. I think we could call him, or didn't he say he wants to go by Bill?
I just know him as.
I might have read that somewhere.
Yeah, I just know him as Ja'Cory. Yeah.
But yeah, it's we'll see what happens there. Cowboys, nothing all that surprising there. But yeah, I was surprised to see the Giants cut Greg Dulcich. That was interesting. I mean, he's a guy who was a starting tight end for the Broncos just 2 years ago and was pretty good. So he'll catch on. He'll catch on somewhere. I guarantee that. And we'll see. We'll see where he ends up. But NFC East, don't think much is going to change. I think it's pretty much going to be the Eagles and the Commanders division that are going to that are going to go after it this year and battle it out. I don't see anybody else making any sort of noise there.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders, I definitely think I have them having a good old season right now. And I also, have there's high expectations for the Eagles to keep doing what they're doing here. The NFC North, taking a look at that, the Chicago Bears, who they waived or released, another awesome name. A lot of good names being released here. Linebacker Swayze Bosman, no longer on the team. Miles Boykin, remember Miles Boykin, wide receiver, he's been waived or released by the Chicago Bears. Also on that list, defensive lineman Jonathan Ford, former running back that was drafted here, Royce Freeman, has been let go as well. Britton Brown at the running back position, he's been let go by the Bears. And outside of that, looking at some other names here, Tyler Scott at wide receiver, and of course waived and injured defensive back Tysheem Johnson, offensive lineman Doug Kramer, and offensive lineman Bill Murray. Yes, not that Bill Murray, but the other one. And then reserved injured cornerback Terrell Smith for the Bears, running back Deion Hankins, and cornerback Sean Wade. Reserved injured designated for return, running back Travis Homer from Miami, who I've covered in college. And linebacker, this is his name, Amen Ogbong Bamiga. Ogbong Bamiga.
Make sure you say that correctly.
Yeah.
Because that can go very poorly very quickly.
Yeah. It's either Bemiga or Bemiga. But Amen is his name. And so reserved NFL cornerback Za Frazier also for the Bears. For the Lions, the moves that they have made, they waived or released edge Ahmad Hassanin, as well as wide receiver Tom Kennedy, offensive lineman Dan Skipper, and some of these other moves. Offensive lineman Zach Johnson, running back Deion Jackson was let go by the Lions. They also let go of, so this was surprising to me, didn't make the 53-man roster, a guy who scored multiple times in the preseason, came from Syracuse and Georgia before that. Wide receiver Jackson Meeks was put on the waived release list by the Detroit Lions. Maurice Norris, who went down on the field during an early game in the preseason, a safety for the team, he's on the waived release list. My best goes out to him and his health more than anything else, for everybody, truly, including Mr. Norris. And then Tyson Russell at corner, also let go. Nick Whiteside, cornerback, let go. Reserve suspended linebacker Ezekiel Turner for the Lions. Reserved physically unable to perform list is offensive lineman Miles Frazier, defensive lineman Aleem McNeil, and linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez. Reserved NFL list for the Lions, Josh Pascal, who is an edge rusher. For the Green Bay Packers, they got rid of Israel Abanikanda, who played for the Pittsburgh Pirates in college. They also got rid of Deslin Alexander, another guy from the ACC on the defensive line side of things. They let go of Jonathan Baldwin, defensive back, speaking of the Packers. Corey Ballantyne, who is a cornerback on the team. They got rid of quarterback Taylor Algersma, as well as Amar Johnson at running back. Wide receiver Cornelius Johnson. Mecole Hardman, who used to be a Chief, was let go by the Packers at wide receiver. And outside of that, Will Shepard at wide receiver also let go. Reserved injured designated to return, running back Marshawn Lloyd, offensive lineman Jacob Monk, and on the reserved injured list, safety Omar Brown, all for the Packers. And then the PUP list in reserve for them, defensive lineman Colin Oliver, wide receiver Christian Watson, and guard John Williams. For the Minnesota Vikings and the moves that they made, they traded cornerback.
Well, they literally just made one, too.
Yeah. Cornerback Mekhi Blackman traded away. Quarterback Sam Howell traded away. defensive lineman Harrison Phillips traded away. They acquired to back up J.J. McCarthy, quarterback, and former number 2 overall pick Carson Wentz. And then on the waived release list for the Minnesota Vikings, Dante Fleming at wide receiver Silas Bolden, as well as they did get rid of a punter, Oscar Chapman, and defensive lineman Jonathan Harris, wide receiver Lucky Jackson. I love that. Could have been a Jackson 5 member, Lucky Jackson. That would have been a cool one. Mm-hmm. And then we have Taki Taimani, defensive lineman, Ambry Thomas, cornerback, and Xavier Valade, running back. Nick Vanette was also let go at tight end by the Minnesota Vikings. Reserve suspended list, wide receiver Jordan Addison. Reserved injured, outside linebacker Tyler Beatty, designated to return. And fullback CJ Ham, designated to return as well. And then on the PUP list for the Vikings, Gavin Bartholomew at tight end. Your thoughts on the moves by the Vikings to get to 50, or by the NFC North to get to 53?
Well, the Vikings are going to have to make one more move because they did just trade for Adam Thielen back about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So that's a nice one that they're bringing in. Apparently, he and J.J. McCarthy would work out together in the offseason sometimes. So that'll be a nice little reunion for Adam Thielen. Not much really off the top of my head for the NFC North. There's, a handful of guys from, Marshawn Lloyd getting cut by the Packers is interesting, and Bears let a couple guys go, but nothing really of big note other than maybe Carson Wentz for the Vikings as their backup quarterback. Eagles fans will like that one.
Yeah, and I'm putting up a poll here right now, so feel free to vote in this poll. I'm currently coming up with the last team that I could have on this list, and I feel like the team I'm going to put on here, just kind of looking at, well, there's a bunch of teams, but I'm going to put the Raiders on this list. So I want to get your thoughts here, folks, and you can obviously respond with a different team. There are 32. I try to think of teams that could change their quarterback at some point this season. Which NFL team would you like to see pick up Syracuse quarterback alum Kyle McCord? If you have a different team than the 4 that I have named, you can respond with that team on X at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Make sure you vote now. Would you like to see Kyle McCord become a Jet, a Saint, a Dolphin? I've talked about all of these. Or a Raider. As the Raiders, they have Geno Smith, but they just made a move to bring in somebody else in Kenny Pickett. So it looks like that situation may be relatively not solidified, or maybe 90% solidified, or whatever that may be. So we'll take a look at it. Where would you like to see Kyle McCord go, who is the who is the single season passing yard leader for the entire country of 130 plus FBS teams last season? He has also set multiple Syracuse records, and he set the ACC quarterback record for most yards in a single season above any quarterback that has ever played in the ACC of any of the teams historically. So where would you like to see him go? You could vote in that on X at CallDT. Make sure to click follow while you're there as well. The NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons, they have acquired offensive lineman Michael Jarrell. They waived or released wide receiver Nick Nash, tight end Joshua Simon. They also let go of wide receiver Dylan Drummond. And like I said, I'm not going to read off every single name because there's so many, unfortunately, for these teams. Quarterback Easton Stick, who was playing for the Falcons this past weekend, he's been let go as well. Cornerback C.J. Henderson, who was drafted by the Jaguars and spent about 15 minutes there coming from the Gators, he was let go. Kobe Bryant, cornerback, was let go. Kobe, C-O-B-E-E, let go by the Falcons. Also linebacker Caleb Johnson. Not this one, but cornerback Lamar Jackson, not quarterback Lamar Jackson. Jesse Matthews at wide receiver was let go by the Falcons, as well as kicker Lenny Craig. Nobody is on the suspended list. The reserved injured list, linebacker Troy Anderson, physically unable to perform. Defensive lineman Taquan Graham, designated to return. Offensive lineman Storm Norton, designated to return for the Falcons. Offensive lineman Caleb McGarry. Cornerback Grayland Arnold, quarterback, also a Gator, Emory Jones. Offensive lineman Tyrone Wheatley Jr. Yes.
He left. He don't count.
So, well, Emory Jones anyways. Offensive lineman Tyrone Wheatley Jr., who is the son of Tyrone Wheatley, who played many years at running back in the NFL. His son is an offensive lineman. And linebacker Malik Verdon on the non-football injury list. My best to all of them, and high hopes for Tyrone Wheatley and the Wheatley family and Mr. Tyrone Wheatley Jr., as well as everybody on that list. Now, the Carolina Panthers here, they kept 7 wide receivers. Now, they also kept 4 tight ends. Tommy Tremble, the older brother of Syracuse tight end Jamie Tremble, is still on the Carolina Panthers team, along with Jatavian Sanders, Mitchell Evans, and James Mitchell. All there. They kept 7 wide receivers and 4 tight ends on the Carolina Panthers. Who they let go? Quarterback Jack Plummer. Quarterback Bryce Perkins was let go, also the ACC. You look at running back K. Ron Lynch Adams, wide receiver Kobe Hudson, wide receiver Jacoby George. They also let go of, just looking through their list here, a cornerback Trey Swilling was let go, cornerback Michael Reed, as well as linebacker Chris Barnes let go from this team. Wide receiver Hunter Renfrow, who was really good for Clemson and an integral part of Clemson beating Virginia Tech in that game at Camping World Stadium in the ACC Championship when it moved to Orlando for a year. Renfrow was a Raider for a while, then he was a Panther, no longer a Panther. Defensive tackle Shai Tuttle also let go by the Panthers. Waived or injured guard Jatire Carter, as well as running back Raheem Blackshear, another ACC guy. Injury settlement there. And reserve injured list, defensive end LeBrian Ray, who's designated to return. For the Saints released veteran running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire right after he was drafted in 2 of my leagues. Now, they let go of Cam Akers, who had been a starter in the NFL. He was on the waived release list by the Saints. Punter James Burnip, wide receiver Roderick Daniels Jr., wide receiver Moochie Dixon, as well as defensive end Jeremiah Martin, let go by the team here. They let go of running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as I mentioned. Dante Pettis, who's another guy who's been out there at wide receiver, he was let go. Also on the waived release list, another Syracuse player in defensive end Fadil Diggs, who did some good things, and they were actually talking about him in his first preseason game, but he was let go. On the reserved injured list, defensive tackle John Ridgway III designated to return, offensive tackle Barry Wesley designated to return, and tackle Landon Young for the Saints. And on the PUP list for them, tight end, quarterback, jack of all trades Taysom Hill, and Foster Moreau at tight end as well. Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South moves that we're talking about here, they cut Gator Kyle Trask. Also on the list here, they let go of quarterback Connor Basilic, as well as safety Will Brooks, defensive lineman C.J. Brewer, Eric Banks, defensive lineman, was let go, as well as wide receiver Raheem Jarrett was let go, wide receiver Trey Palmer, wide receiver Jaden Smith, let go from the team. No more Trask, and on the reserve injured list, wide receiver Jalen McMillan, safety J.J. Roberts, and also safety David Walker. Your thoughts, Murph, as we unfortunately read some Gators and former Gators being let go in the NFC South?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the one that everybody wants to hear from me about is Kyle Trask, and honestly, I think this is good for him. The Bucs have not had a chance to play him. Baker Mayfield has turned into, a well above average NFL quarterback with the Buccaneers, and he will be there for a long time. And you can't blame Kyle Trask for losing out on that job. I think he needs to go somewhere and be a backup and hopefully get a chance to sneak in. Like, I'm really hoping he signs with the Saints or with the Raiders or with a team like that. I'd love to see him come to the Jets, but he probably wouldn't play with the Jets. If he did end up coming to the Jets and become the Jets starting quarterback and was really good, you better believe I would get excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was one I was a little surprised about. But yeah, like there's half these names that we're saying, I've never heard of these guys, to be totally fair. But then you get a few that come through that are decent names that you see, and obviously the Panthers just traded Adam Thielen back to the Vikings, so They're down another wide receiver, so I think they're now down to 6. But yeah, it's sad to see a couple Gators get cut. Sad to see a couple Syracuse guys get cut. But it's the NFL. It's a lot more competitive. Guys are battling for starting jobs, for backup jobs, for special teams jobs, and sometimes guys just don't get them. And like I said, for Trask, I think it's a good thing that he's going to go elsewhere, because I think that's going to give him a chance to possibly start somewhere in the future, because he wasn't going to start with the Bucs, that's for sure. Because Baker Mayfield has been also very healthy, has been a model of health in the past couple of years. So a big thing for him there. But yeah, it's sad to see Trask get cut, but I think it's better off for him in the long run.
Yeah, so I mean, a tough thing there, but obviously you want to see an opportunity to play, and Baker Mayfield has very much resurrected his career in Tampa. So congratulations to him on that and the work that he has done. I do want to let everybody know, I just got a note came in from the Jaguars that the Jaguars have secured a trade with the Detroit Lions, literally happening. Just got the email.
Literally.
And so
a minute ago.
So yeah, so that email that just came in from the franchise stating that the Jaguars have agreed to terms with the Detroit Lions to trade a 6th-round selection in the 2026 NFL Draft to bring in wide receiver Tim Patrick from the Lions pending a physical. And with the move, the team waived wide receiver Austin Trammell in order to bring in Tim Patrick. So letting you know that right now here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I mean, my thoughts on some of these moves here. I mean, obviously, I'm sad to be mentioning the NFC and having to mention so many Syracuse players being let go, but there as the teams kind of get things together, I'm interested when you see a quarterback that is let go after that 3rd preseason game, right? To have that last opportunity, and maybe the team just didn't see enough. I mean, the Carolina Panthers keeping 4 tight ends, that's something too, and then letting go of Pro Bowl wideout Hunter Renfrow, but keeping 7 other wide receivers.
That was surprising.
That's a surprising move. But Tommy Tremble, like I said, the older brother of Jamie Tremble, good to see that and that connection there. And, just seeing that Kendre Miller is right there with Alvin Kamara now, and he's the guy, right? He's the guy that's going to get some playing time, I would imagine. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was drafted early by the Chiefs, now let go by the Saints. No Cam Akers on the team anymore. So Kendre Miller, who I drafted late, is going to be the guy with Alvin Kamara. So that's a good thing to see. And then Kyle Trask, just hoping that he does get an opportunity to catch on. And I'll be the first to say this, if he does become a Jet, you will be able you'll be able to put Murph on the table and sway him to spend the money to get some wonderful patch and autograph cards and numbered cards of Kyle Trask.
Oh, of course.
As a Jet.
In a Jets uniform.
As a Jet, yes. So
I've got all my Buck stuff.
Let's go to
my Gator stuff.
And your Go Gators, yes.
I have 2 of this card.
Yeah.
This one's just in a little bit better shape.
Let's jump to the NFC West here and the moves being made. The Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, now look at this, despite missing time with the leg injury, wide receiver Simi Fehoko was one of the most surprising cuts, I guess, to some people here. And looking at that, so besides that cut, they also let go of former Jet running back Michael Carter in Arizona, who went there a little while ago. DJ Davis let go at the running back position. Josiah DeGuara, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, he was let go, as well as cornerback Darren Hall. And then Sincere Haynesworth at offensive line, let go by the Cardinals. Stephen Gilmore, not Stephon Gilmore, but Stephen Gilmore at corner, let go. Clayton Tune, who was at Houston, and I covered him there, he was let go at quarterback by the Arizona Cardinals. On the reserved injured list, offensive lineman Hayden Connor, offensive lineman Christian Jones, linebacker J.J. Russell. Connor and Jones have been designated to return. Do want to make mention that they let go of offensive lineman Donovan West as well. And on the PUP list for the Cardinals, defensive lineman Bilal Nichols, defensive lineman Walter Nolan III, and linebacker B.J. Ojulari. For the Rams, the moves that they made, they traded offensive tackle KT Leviston, and they, on the waived release list, have cornerback Sean Jolly, offensive lineman Willie Lampkin IV, AJ Arcuri, offensive lineman, as well as wide receiver True Edwards, on the waived release list by the Los Angeles Rams, offensive lineman Dylan McMahon, inside linebacker Elias Neal, as well as running back Ronnie Rivers, inside linebacker Chris Paul Jr., wide receiver Drake Stoops, wide receiver Jordan Waters, as well as safety Malik Dixon Williams, quarterback Dresser Wynn, and inside linebacker Tony Field II. The San Francisco 49ers moves that they've made here, they kept wide receiver Jawan Jennings on the 53-man roster. He has yet to return from a calf injury that he has had here, and there's also a contract that they have to figure out in San Fran, but they decided to keep him. On the waived release list for the Niners, Robbie Chosen, who was not chosen by the Niners, a little ironic there. Hopefully he'll find a place somewhere else. Wide receiver Russell Gage. What'd you say?
Former Jet.
There you go.
Former Jet, Robbie Anderson.
So Robbie Chosen.
Well, he was Robbie Anderson.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, the name change, right. So Robbie Chosen, not with the Niners anymore. Wide receiver Russell Gage Jr. I have to keep a list of people that have their names legally changed. Linebacker Curtis Robinson. Linebacker Chaz Surratt let go by the Niners as well. Running back Jeff Wilson Jr., who had been there. Wide receiver Junior Bergen, as well as defensive end Jonathan Garvin. Quarterback Tanner Mordecai, as well as quarterback Carter Bradley, and then Shaquille Brown, defensive lineman, Dallas Flowers, a cornerback let go by the Niners. On the reserve suspended list, wide receiver Demarcus Robinson and offensive tackle Isaac Alarcon, as well as on the injured list for the Niners, defensive tackle Kevin Givens, cornerback Jacob Robinson, PUP list, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, as well as safety Malik Mustafa, and on the reserve NFL list, quarterback Curtis Rourke. For the Seattle Seahawks, in the moves that they made, they released Marquez Valdez-Scantling, former wide receiver of the South Florida Bulls. They traded offensive tackle Michael Jarrell, and they also, on the waived release list, have wide receiver Ricky White III, wide receiver Tyrone Broden, as well as wide receiver John Rice Plumlee. He's on the injury designation list. Now, Plumlee was a quarterback for UCF, and in the NFL, he transitioned to wide receiver, and he is on the injury.
I was going to say, I thought he was a QB.
John Reese Plumlee is on the injury designation list for the Seattle Seahawks, and then Damian Martinez on the waiver release list for the Seahawks, Jarcadia Wright at running back, Anthony Tyus III at running back, injury designated list, fullback Wesley Steiner, and outside of that, nose tackle on the waiver release list for the Seahawks, Bubba Thomas, defensive tackle Anthony Campbell, Alfonso Tuputala, linebacker on that list as well, and then injury settlement for cornerback Isis Waxter, as well as injury settlement for cornerback Tyler Hall, wide receiver kick returner Steven Sims, injury settlement. On injured reserve for the Seahawks, guard Christian Haynes, who is designated to return, and on the reserve NFL list, defensive end Riley Mills and nose tackle Jonathan Hankins. Any thoughts on the NFC West, Murph?
Don't be shocked if MVS goes to the Steelers.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Because a former Green Bay Packer played with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Also, former Kansas City Chief. I'd look for him to maybe go to either one of those places. We'll see. Maybe he goes back to Green Bay. Who knows? Jets could use some wide receiver help, so I wouldn't hate MVS. I think he's a decent option still. But there's some guys that have gotten cut across the league that are kind of surprising, but then there's others that, every team's going to have 25 guys that they cut because they bring 70-something guys into camp, and, you can't keep them all. So there's going to be guys that get cut. There's going to be guys that get cut, unfortunately, that will catch on with other teams. there'll also be guys that get cut that this is their last chance to be on an NFL team, and they're probably going to be retiring after this. And it's a shame for them, and you hope the best for them in the rest of their lives. But nothing crazy in NFC West that that I noticed. A handful of names that that I knew that were bounced around the league a little bit recently. So MVS, I'd look to maybe go to Pittsburgh or maybe even back to Kansas City, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Plumlee going from quarterback to wide receiver in the NFL, not atypical. We did see it with Greg Ward Jr. from Houston after Houston won the first ever American football championship inside the American Athletic Conference. And, Taj Boyd. So we have seen guys make that move before. Hopefully it works out for Plumlee. So, so that's how we look at it. And we saw a bunch of guys do it from Ohio State. Ohio State and they've done it too. Braxton Miller. So
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at the voting really quick here. Which NFL team would you like to see pick up Syracuse quarterback alum Kyle McCord? 20% of you said Jets. 20% of you said Saints. 20% of you said Dolphins. And it's interesting because those are the three I was going to put up. And then I was trying to figure out the fourth. And the fourth one that I put up is the one that you voted on the most. Actually, it just changed while I'm talking. So it was 40% Raiders. Now
it wasn't me. It wasn't me, I promise.
Well, it's funny that it wasn't you because they picked the Jets. So 33.3% want Kyle McCord to be a Jet, 16.7% Saint, 16.7% Dolphins, 33.3% would like Kyle McCord to be a Raider. So we'll be back after this. Keep voting in the poll. Go to X, the former Twitter, @CallDT. That is CALLDT. And let me know which team you'd like to see Syracuse quarterback alum Kyle McCord go to now that he is no longer an Eagle, which I'm actually happy with that. I just want to see him find a home, as well as all of the Syracuse players and everybody that I'm reading off on this list and other people on the list as well. I don't want anybody to be without a home here as they chase their dreams. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we come back, it's time to go to the AFC. All four divisions and the moves that they have made to cut down to 53-man rosters coming up right after this on Wake Up Call. Stay with us.
Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot, Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You will find them open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And, of course, you can get a sneak peek at their inventory of the Honda Civic, Honda Accord, Honda Odyssey, Honda HR-V, Honda Ridgeline, Honda Pilot, my favorite, the Honda CR-V, by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Murph and I are here talking about the moves made, going to every single team in the NFL, 32 franchises. We're already 16 through, about to do the next 16 right now. I do want to let you know something, and I'm happy that Murph brought it up. Adam Thielen, in his return to Minnesota, which I love, by the way, this is how the deal breaks down. The Carolina Panthers will receive a 2026 fifth-round pick and a 2027 fourth-round pick. The Minnesota Vikings will receive Adam Thielen back, as well as a 2026 conditional seventh-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. So the Vikings don't just get Thielen, they give up 2 picks, but they get 2 picks, and they get Thielen. And getting a fifth round and a fourth round, the Carolina Panthers got value, showing that Adam Thielen is still very much somebody who brings that value. Keep in mind, folks, that Adam Thielen just a few years back was doing a great job with the Minnesota Vikings, and he was somebody that was commanding getting the number 2 slot at wide receiver. So seeing what he can do here, I'm excited to see him come back and, God willing, resurrect his career in a place that has been I mean, it's the best place that he's been. So I'm really, really excited to see what can happen here with Adam Thielen returning. And like I said, Happy Murph brought it up. In the AFC East, we'll start there for the AFC in the moves being made. The Buffalo Bills reserved injured with designation to return cornerback Maxwell Hairston and offensive lineman Tylen Grable. On the waived release list, we have defensive end Paris Shand, as well as defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. We have defensive tackle Casey Rogers on the waived release list for the Buffalo Bills, as well as defensive tackle Zion Logue, quarterback Mike White, quarterback Shane Busheli, as well as tight end Kaliki Latu, running back Frank Gore Jr., sad face, wide receiver Laviscus Chenault Jr., who's been all over the place since the Jaguars drafted him, sad face, wide receiver KJ Hamler, who has caught on and had some moments, as well as wide receiver and former Clemson Tiger. And I mentioned the release of Hunter Renfrow. Well, Deion Kane's also been released, and those two receivers made Deshaun Watson look good and helped Clemson to withstand the onslaught of the Virginia Tech Hokies in the ACC championship game in Justin Fuente's first year coaching the Hokies. And now both of those receivers that had incredible hands helping out Deshaun Watson are both looking for a job, which makes me sad. Reserve suspended list for the Bills, defensive end Michael Hocht, as well as defensive tackle Larry Agunjobi. And on the waived injured list, Grant Dubois. And hopefully we'll get to see these guys come back and get healthy. Miami Dolphins, looking at their list here, they got rid of somebody that was a Cincinnati Bearcat that has been on the show, and I got a lot of love for this guy, and I still remember talking with him out in Rhode Island, so I'm hoping he finds a place. He's been a Viking. He has been with the Dolphins, and that's running back Mike Boone. So hopefully he'll find a home as well as all these other guys. Wide receiver A.J. Henning, as well as wide receiver Eric Ezunkanma, wide receiver Theo Weiss Jr., as well as tight end Chris Mayarik, tight end Pharaoh Brown, who's had some moments in the NFL, let go by the Dolphins, linebacker Quentin Bell, linebacker Channing Tindall, linebacker Daquan Jackson, as well as a plethora of corners. Cornell Armstrong, Mike Hilton, B.J. Adams, Ethan Robinson, Cameron Dantzler Sr., as well as Kendall Sheffield. The Dolphins on the reserve suspended list, they have a bunch. Cornerback Cater Coho, cornerback Artie Burns, running back Alexander Madison, formerly of the Vikings, offensive lineman Jermaine Effetti, as well as offensive lineman Yadni Kajusti, I know Yadni, as well as offensive linebacker Obina Eze, tight end Jalen Conyers, cornerback Jason Matry, and offensive lineman Liam Eckenberg. The New England Patriots, taking a look at this, what they have on their list for waived released: cornerback Miles Battle, tight end Jaheim Bell, running back Micah Bernard, as well as tight end Cole Fotheringham, running back Jamichael Hasty, who used to be a Niner. Also on this list, cornerback Jordan Polk, linebacker Monty Rice, linebacker Cam Riley, as well as kicker Parker Romo, tight end G. Scott, running back Shane Watts, wide receiver Jeremiah Webb, and quarterback Ben Woldridge. On the reserved injured list for the Patriots, wide receiver Jalen Polk, who they drafted recently, guard Layden Robinson, and linebacker Jelani Tavai, who's designated to return. The New York Jets acquired defensive tackle Harrison Phillips, and he was on the Minnesota Vikings there, and defensive tackle Juwan Briggs. They traded away defensive tackle Derek Noddy, and they waived or released for the Jets cornerback Jarek Bernard Converse, as well as safety Dion Clark. They let go of quarterback Brady Cook, cornerback Bump Cooper, love it. They got rid of the guy they drafted last year at wide receiver, Malachi Corley, as well as running back Donovan Edwards, no longer on the Jets, defensive back Taylor McAllister, kicker Harrison Mevis, as well as wide receiver Dymere Miller, wide receiver Quentin Skinner, linebacker Boog Smith, wide receiver Brandon Smith, not that Brandon Smith from Marywood, running back Lawrence Tafili, and they also...
Tompkins?
What'd you say? What'd you
No,
say?
I was making a joke.
Oh, okay. And wide receiver Ontario Wilson, injured reserve defensive tackle Byron Cowart, as well as linebacker Jamarcus Weston designated to return. And on the PUP list for the Jets, wide receiver Irvin Charles. Your thoughts, Murph, on the AFC East, including your Jets?
I mean, not too much. I mean, as far as the other three teams, I mean, the biggest one with the Jets, obviously, is Malachi Corley. That one does not surprise me. He was drafted by the old regime. He didn't play much last year. And he dropped a ball running into the end zone. I got no respect for you when you do that. Because that is the single stupidest mistake that you can make in football. Is having a surefire touchdown and letting go of the ball before you cross the goal line. I never understood how stupid people can be to do that. And it happens way too often. Never going to have anything positive to say about that guy at this point. But yeah, I mean, Donovan Edwards, sad to see him go. I think we also cut Adrian Martinez at quarterback, who played well in the preseason. He's been a practice squad guy for a couple of years. Brady Cook didn't play all that much, and then you had a couple other guys that played in the preseason that didn't particularly do all that well. So not all that surprising. We'll see what happens. There wasn't any hugely notable things. I still think we need to bring in another wide receiver. So maybe they pick somebody up from getting cut. Maybe they make a trade. But I don't know. But you said did I hear you say the Patriots cut Jalen Polk?
No, the Patriots are in a position right now with Jalen Polk and I'll bring it up here. So Jalen Polk is on the reserved injured list.
Oh, okay, so he's hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I heard you say he was cut. It might have just been the way I was listening to it. But yeah, it's he would have been a guy I would have been surprised that got cut, but obviously he didn't get cut. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not a whole lot else really to say there. Let's see what the AFC North's got going on.
Yeah, so taking a look at the way things are in the AFC North, getting down to a 53-man roster. So we have on the waived release list for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll start there here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios with DT and Murphy. Running back Myles Gaskin, who was picked up by the Dolphins years ago. He was let go by a team that has plenty of runners, and so hopefully Myles Gaskin will find his home as well as everybody else. Another guy, we talk about quarterbacks that have been moved to wide receiver. This is another guy, Malik Cunningham, and he was on the waive release list for the Baltimore Ravens. Also, Keandre Jackson at safety, Dearness Johnson, who's had some moments in the NFL, running back on the waived release list for the Baltimore Ravens, as well as wide receiver Keith Kirkwood, linebacker William Kwenku, Devin Leary, quarterback there that came from the ACC. And we also saw fullback Lucas Scott let go. Tight end Scotty Washington was let go as well. So they do have, and they didn't place tight end Isaiah Likely on injured reserve. So hopeful good news for that. On the injured reserve list for the Baltimore Ravens, outside linebacker Adisa Isaac is on that list, designated to return, and wide receiver Dayton Wade. On the reserved NFL list, offensive lineman Emory Jones, not that Emory, one with EME, not EMO, Emory Jones Jr. with a shoulder injury. And on the PUP list for the Ravens, safety Ardarius Washington with an Achilles injury. And our prayers go out to their healthy, speedy, full recoveries. The Cincinnati Bengals on their list, they have waived or released running back Gary Brightwell, as well as cornerback Jalen Davis, linebacker Joe Giles Harris, and this is a guy who I have crossed paths with in my history. Wide receiver Jamoy Mays, wide receiver Jordan Moore, as well as wide receiver Kendrick Pryor. Quarterback, Bengals have let go of someone who's been on my show a bunch of times, Desmond Ritter. Running back Quali Conley has been let go by the Bengals, as well as wide receiver Rashad Owens and quarterback Peyton Thorne. On the reserved injured list for the Bengals, safety Dejon Anthony and defensive end Cedric Johnson. On the PUP list, tight end Eric All Jr. Now, for the Cleveland Browns, they traded quarterback Kenny Pickett to the Raiders for a 2026 fifth-round pick, and they acquired KT Leviston, offensive tackle, as well, here to make a note. Now, this looks at what's going to happen with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders at some point this season behind Joe Flacco, and an injured Deshaun Watson is on the bench. For the Browns, on their waived released list, cornerback Chigozie Anunzium, as well as offensive tackle Jackson Barton. They also have a tight end Sal Cannella on this list, wide receiver Chase Cota, wide receiver Caden Davis, as well as wide receiver Deontay Johnson, who was drafted this past weekend in the Wake Up Call Fantasy Football Leagues in Central New York that call the Wildcat Sports Pub our exclusive home. He is on the waived release list for the Browns, as well as wide receiver Cade McDonald. Also on this list, we have a running back Amani Marshall, Travion Williams at running back, center Bucky Williams, and we have D'Artagnan Tinsley at guard for the Browns on the waive release list. On the reserve injured list, linebacker Winston Reed, the PUP list, quarterback Deshaun Watson, and on the reserve NFL list, wide receiver David Bell. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, on their waived released list, we have defensive back Beanie Bishop Jr., love that name, defensive back Sebastian Castro, as well as D lineman DeMarvin Leal, as well as offensive lineman Dylan Cook. On this list, Trey Sermon, running back, is on the waive release list for the Steelers. Used to be a guy that was out there for the 49ers. Another guy that's found his way to be a backup in the NFL was on the waived release list by the Steelers this time around, quarterback Logan Woodside, running back Evan Hull also there, as well as running back Lou Nichols, tight end J.J. Galbraith, and punter Cameron Johnston, as well as offensive lineman Doug Nestor and Julian Pearl on this list, and Quindell Johnson at D-back. Reserved injured list for the Steelers, cornerback Corey Trice Jr., who is designated to return. Thoughts on the AFC North, Murph?
Not a whole heck of a lot here. I mean, the same thing as what I've kind of said for some of the other divisions. It's sad to see some of these guys losing their jobs, but that's the way the NFL is. It's 32 teams down from 132 or something, or however many is in college football. So there's a lot of guys for not as many spots.
Yeah. So unfortunately, hopefully we'll get to see them find themselves a home, but unfortunately, we're in a place right now that these moments are happening in the NFL. They had to get down to this. You have to go from where you are to 75 and then 75 to 53. And obviously some of these names that I'm naming off may be signed on to their practice squad. So, you'll see them get released and then you'll see a bunch of these guys move to the practice squad. So they're still on the team. It's kind of that sad moment it's like, oh man. And then it gets, it gets followed up by it's like, I can't believe it's, oh, okay. So it's one of those moments. And I've done that plenty of times with the Jaguars where I'm like, no, not that guy. Oh, that's what you're doing. So that does happen here with the practice squads for these guys, and hopefully we'll get a bunch of them at least on a practice squad. Taking a look at the AFC South, the Houston Texans traded offensive tackle Austin Deculus. They waived or released wide receiver Quintez Cephas, as well as quarterback Keaton Slovis, safety Miles Bryant. They got rid of linebacker Casey Osai, as well as offensive guard Ladarius Henderson, running back J.J. Taylor, cornerback D'Angelo Ross, as well as tight end Dalton Keene, not Dalton Schultz. Don't get worried. Tight end Harrison Bryant as well. And I'm sad about this. Jawar Jordan, no longer a Houston Texan on the 53-man roster. He was a Syracuse Orange member, then a Louisville Cardinal. Jawar Jordan Jr. does some good things, and I'd imagine he's going to show up somewhere, at least on special teams. Reserve suspended list for the Texans. On IR, wide receiver Cornell Powell. On the PUP list, we have wide receiver Tank Dell. On the NFL list, we have cornerback Elijah Huzzy. On the NFL list, running back Joe Mixon. On the IR list, tight end Irv Smith Jr. On the PUP list, defensive tackle Kurt Hinish. On the PUP list, Danico Autry. And safety Jalen Reed is designated to return for the Texans. Indianapolis Colts on their waived release list, linebacker Austin Ajiak, as well as wide receiver Aju. That's right, put some Aju sauce on it. How about it? And then quarterback Jason Bean, no longer with the Indianapolis Colts. Running back Khalil Herbert, who has been out there in the NFL and now not on this team for the Colts. We see Sean McKeon is no longer on the team at tight end for the Colts. Maximilian Mang for the Colts, another Syracuse player, let go, wore number 0 for Syracuse last year. Nate Neal, no longer with the Colts at running back. Wide receiver Blaine Taylor at the wide receiver position, as I said. Safety Ladarius Tennyson, as well as wide receiver Laquan Treadwell, who's been all over the NFL, did some good things with Jacksonville. They still let him go. And then Jelani Woods, no longer there at tight end for the Colts. On the reserved injured designated for return list, linebacker Jalen Carleys. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is what we have here. Now, the Jaguars had they had made some moves here, and I actually got a bunch of things that came through, but I want to make a note here for you on Jacksonville. We'll go through what just happened, and like I said, I made a note earlier today as Murph and I were talking on a move that the team has made from the franchise agreeing to terms to bring in wide receiver Tim Patrick, who was a Jaguar and then wasn't a Jaguar, and now he's a Jaguar again. So I guess they felt a little bit of remorse and made that 3 a.m. phone call and said, "You up." So looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, they have made a bunch of moves here. And on the waive release list, offensive lineman Tremaine Ankrum, as well as tight end Sean Bowman, wide receiver Chandler Brayboy, wide receiver Cam Camper, I love these names, as well as defensive end Miles Cole, who was drafted last year by the team. He's on the waived released list. Running back Kevin Harris is. Quarterback Seth Hennigan, also on this list. Seth Hennigan did a great job for the Memphis Tigers in college. Tight end Quentin Morris is on the list. Defensive tackle Tyler Lacey, as well as wide receiver Darius Lassiter. This makes me sad. I interviewed him a bunch of times. Linebacker Chad Muma. He's a great guy on this team. That's one that I'm not happy with, but they've made some moves that I didn't agree with, locker room and field. Safety Daniel Thomas, who had been with the team for a while. He's not there anymore. Quarterback John Walford, who was at Wake Forest and also was with the Rams. We did see him out there in the NFL at times when injuries happen. He's not there. On the waived injured list, wide receiver Eli Pancol, as well as reserve injured designated to return linebacker Jalen McLeod. And on the reserved injured list, cornerback Caleb Ransaw. And then for the Tennessee Titans on the waive release list, linebacker Brian Asamoah II, safety Kendall Brooks, as well as running back Jamar Jefferson, wide receiver Mason Kinsey for the waived release list for the Tennessee Titans, as well as guard Brendan James, linebacker Blake Lynch, wide receiver James Prochet II, who was at SMU, and Trevor Simeon at quarterback, no longer there, and then reserved injured list running back Tajay Spears, who is designated for return. Thoughts on the AFC South, Murph? Any thoughts? Where's Murph at? There he is.
Sorry, I forgot I muted to cough there.
There you go.
Not really a ton of guys of note. We talked about like Khalil Herbert with the Colts as a guy that got cut. He did some good things with the Bears a couple of years ago. Trevor Simeon's been a starter in the league in the past. He's probably I imagine will get a backup job somewhere.
Yeah.
Not, where. There we go. I was looking through the list that you sent me, and to try to check on some of these names, and Jelani Woods is a tight end for the Colts that's done some things for them in the past, and obviously he's getting cut. But again, it's what happens this time of year. There's not a whole lot you could really do about it.
No, and obviously sad to see, but we do hope the best for all of these players in finding themselves a home. And Chad Muma, just know how much I appreciate you and all the time we got to spend talking with each other over the years. In the AFC West, the Denver Broncos traded wide receiver Devon Val to the Saints. Waived and release list, we have cornerback Micah Abraham, linebacker Lavelle Bailey, wide receiver Michael Bandy, quarterback Sam Ellinger, running back Audric Esteem, who came from Notre Dame, as well as Courtney Jackson, wide receiver released by the Broncos, used to be at Syracuse, transferred out of Syracuse, but did do some good things. And seemingly another guy in the preseason that looked like he had some good moments, like Jackson Meeks, a former Syracuse wide receiver, still on the waived release list for their respective team. Xavier Truss let go by the Denver Broncos at guard, and fullback Adam Prentice, as well as cornerback Jaden Robinson and nose tackle Jordan Miller. On the waived injured list, defensive tackle Christian Williams, injured reserve fullback Michael Burton, full season, and reserved injured list linebacker Drew Sanders, short term there. Kansas City Chiefs, they kept 8 wide receivers. 8, folks. That's Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, Nico Remigio, Jason Brownlee, and rookie Jalen Royals, all on the team. They released the release list for the Kansas City Chiefs is so small. So this, they must have done their moves earlier here, because their list is literally 5 guys. Linebacker Cole Christensen, safety Mike Edwards, nose tackle Mike Pennell, tight end Robert Tonyan, who used to be with the Packers, and defensive tackle Marlon Tuipulotu. And injured reserve list, tight end Jake. Well, actually, no. So there's the release list and the waived list. That's what it is. They separated it for the Chiefs, because the waived release list for these teams has been together. In the Chiefs' case, the release list and the waived list was separated. That's why it looks so small. I'm looking at the sheet going, what the heck? Injured reserve Jake Brenningstool at tight end, linebacker Brandon George at line, and then cornerback Nazee Johnson, and then reserved NFL list for the Chiefs. That is right tackle Ethan Driscoll. On the waived list, they have quarterback Chris Oladokun, as well as quarterback Bailey Zappi, running back Michael Wiley, fullback Carson Steele, wide receiver Hal Presley, as well as wide receiver Jimmy Holiday, and tight end Trey Watson, no longer on the team. Keziah Izzard at D-tackle, defensive tackle Fabian Lovett Sr., not on the team. Cornerback Kevin Knowles and cornerback Melvin Smith as well at junior, and as well as safety Major Williams, no longer on the Chiefs. Now for the Las Vegas Raiders, they have the waived release list: linebacker Amari Gaynor, running back Chris Collier, running back Sincere McCormick, tight end Kadir Ishmael, and that is the son of Rocket or the son of Missile and the nephew of Rocket when you look at the Ismail family. So Kadir, hopefully he'll catch on somewhere. Last year he could have been a Raven like his father Kadri, and he was there for a little bit. So hopefully Kadir will catch on somewhere, but he has been on the waived release list by the Raiders as they got down to 53 men. Philip Dorsett at wide receiver also gone. Wide receiver Colin Johnson, who used to be a Jaguar, gone from the Raiders. Quarterback Cam Miller, wide receiver Sheldrick Jackson, as well as linebacker Matt Jones, and offensive tackle Gottlieb Ayedzi, as well as wide receiver Ketron Jackson Jr. And tight end Albert Akmwenbunem is no longer there. He used to be a Denver Bronco, I believe. And the Los Angeles Chargers here on their waived release list, quarterback Taylor, get your hands off my Heineke, and also cornerback Harrison Hand, safety Tony Jefferson, and then linebacker Kanai Mauga, as well as running back Naheem Miller-Hines, so formerly Naheem Hines, who was at NC State, who I covered there. A wide receiver, Jalen Rieger, who was drafted early by the Eagles, let go by them, now has been let go by the Chargers, as well as tackle David Sharp. Wide receiver Luke Grimm has been let go. Outside linebacker Kansas, Kylan Guidry. And then we have defensive lineman Christopher Hinton, wide receiver J.K. Jackson, and tight end Steve Klotz, as well as cornerback Miles Purchase, running back Kamani Vidal, and tight end Thomas Yasmin have all been let go, as well as running back Raheem Sanders and wide receiver Brendan Rice. On the acquired list for the Chargers, offensive lineman Austin Deculus, as well as on the reserved injured list, long snapper Josh Harris, designated to return, cornerback Dean Leonard, designated to return, and linebacker Junior Colson. On the waived injured list, we have wide receiver Jalen Johnson, safety Jalen Jones, and running back Jarrett Patterson for the Chargers. Any notes here on the AFC West, Murph?
Couple QBs of note. Obviously, you had Taylor Heineke and DJ Uiagalelei from the Chargers. Both those guys getting cut. I can't really say I'm all that surprised. Bailey Zappi, I was not aware that he was on the Kansas City Chiefs, and apparently he is still not on the Kansas City Chiefs. He just got cut. Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, not the Raiders, the Chargers cut a couple guys that, we've known. I mean, Naeem Hines was a starting running back for the Colts back in the day. Jalen Rieger obviously was the guy that Eagles fans were in revulsion for drafting over Justin Jefferson. Brendan Rice, a former draft pick by the Chargers, also got cut. But yeah, it was and Sam Ehlinger getting cut by the Broncos too, former starting quarterback at Texas. Yeah, it's again, sad day, but it's got to happen sometime.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it ends up happening for these guys ahead of this 2025-26 season, and hopefully they will catch on. But that is a look at the NFL and the moves being made ahead of the season. We did all 32 teams. We'll take a step aside. We'll come back with college football week 1. Week 0 happened last week. There were 5 games, and now we're into week 1 of the 2025-26 season. Then we'll get into a few sports cards here with Murph on a different day. He'll be back on Mondays as we step forward here, and we are here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us.
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily?
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find them open for you Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Head over there today for singles, packs, boxes, graded cards. You never know what you're going to find at GG Cards and Breaks. Potential one-of-ones, autographs, and specialty cards that you'll find, as well as, you know, when it comes to some of those celebrity cards and just really, really cool things that they open. You never know what's going to be on the shelf at GG Cards and Breaks. What you do know is you could be a kid there every single week, and we look forward to seeing you over there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5 on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. A special thanks to Chick-fil-A DeWitt on the corner of Bridge and Erie. Chick-fil-A DeWitt is approaching being 1 month old. That's right. It's the baby of the neighborhood, and you have been going there and showing them love. Thanks to Megan Sorber and her team for all that they're doing. Megan Sorber came up in Chick-fil-A, going to school and working at Chick-fil-A, and now she's employing those that are going to school and working at Chick-fil-A. So a wonderful parallel to have a leader that has been through these moments that she's now asking her team to go through with her as they create such an amazing experience right off of Erie Boulevard and Bridge Street. We look forward to seeing you over at Chick-fil-A DeWitt. Let them know that DT sent you, and we appreciate you all. as always, for showing love to a place that's so much more than just a chicken sandwich. So, with that being said, Murph, it's time for us to hop into some picks here for the college football week 1. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring up our board here. And so here is the board for our picks week 1 of 2025-26. And we got some good games going on. You know, there used to be this day where college football starting off the season, you were looking at these games saying, okay, these teams obviously schedule these games so that they can get some wins under their belt, go 3-1 or 4-0. Now we're looking at these high octane bowl style games that happen early on, like the Aflac kickoff games. And I'm going to go there first, Murph. And actually, we got some games tonight. So let me go to those games before we go to the Aflac kickoff. We got some games tomorrow night, I should say. I keep thinking today's Thursday. August 28th, we got a few games going on. Boise State, ranked 25th in the country, will take on South Florida in Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa. This game will be on ESPN at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thoughts? Murph?
To be honest, I don't think it's going to be much of a contest. I think Boise State gets the job done pretty easily.
So, Murph going with Boise State. I'm also, and don't get mad at me, Alex Golish, I'm going to go with Boise State in this one as well. South Florida has been in these games. They fought well with Alabama the last couple of years, and they've made games very interesting. This game may be interesting, but I think ultimately Boise State will be able to do it, and it's going to be something to watch, right? To see the Boise State Broncos without Ashton Genty, who's now a Las Vegas Raider and on one of my fantasy football league teams. So my best to everybody involved there. Now, outside of that, Murph, we got some games on Friday that we're going to see. And one of the games that we have on Friday that I'm going to circle here is a team that I think is underestimated and shouldn't be, up against a team that a lot of people focus on because of their head coach. Georgia Tech at Colorado, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. What do you got?
Georgia Tech's favored in this game, which I think is a little bit surprising. But I don't know what Colorado's going to be this year. Deion Sanders or not, who do they have left after Shedeur and Travis Hunter and all those guys? I'm going to pick Georgia Tech. I don't see why Colorado would be. I'm still taking Georgia Tech. It doesn't take a village to figure that one out.
Yeah, I think this is the year the ACC reminds the country that they very much should be in the conversation. I'm going with Georgia Tech in this game. You got two Haynes on the teams. You have their quarterback, Haynes King, and you also have their running back, Jamal Haynes, both back, and I think that Georgia Tech's going to be too much in this matchup. Let's go to Saturday and Sunday. I want to go to the Aflac kickoff doubleheaders here. Syracuse versus Tennessee, who's ranked in the top 25. And then we have Virginia Tech and South Carolina is going to be the only game played on Sunday. Two games played on Sunday. Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Notre Dame, Miami. So if you say that, Notre Dame is with the ACC and everything but football. But when you look at schools connected to the ACC, 3 of the 4 teams that play on Sunday are ACC connected in some way, despite the fact that Notre Dame is independent in football. So would love to get your thoughts on the Aflac kickoff doubleheader, Syracuse, Tennessee, which is going to be on Saturday at noon Eastern Time, and on Sunday, the second game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium down in Atlanta, where the season ended last year in the national championship, and where I got to be is where I will be by the grace of God to start the season this season. And I've been talking about that beautiful storyline for months now, and now I get to live it. And Virginia Tech will take on South Carolina 3 p.m. on Sunday Eastern Time. So your thoughts on those two games?
I think Syracuse is going to have a lot to prove with Steve Angeli at quarterback, and I don't think they're going to be able. I don't think this is the type of game that they're going to come right out and win. So I like Tennessee, and I like them to cover the spread of 13.5 points. South Carolina, Virginia Tech, same thing. I don't really see I can't see Virginia Tech winning this game. I really can't. So I'm going South Carolina, and they're probably covering their spread too at 7.5.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got Syracuse this season. I went game by game in the moment and just thought about it and broke it down as it was happening in Tortora and Alford, which is a product of Wake Up Call with my awesome co-host and brother, Mr. Isaac Alford. And him and I both picked Syracuse to win this game. I think there's going to be a turnover or two. I see a fumble recovery on the side of Syracuse. I think if this comes down to a turnover game, Syracuse wins the turnover matchup. They get the victory, and Steve Angeli goes 1-0 as the quarterback of Syracuse after being seen in the college football playoff and helping Notre Dame get to the national championship over Penn State in a 27-24 victory. So I have Syracuse edging out Tennessee here in this matchup and making a case to be in the top 25 to take the place of Tennessee, who is in the bottom part of the top 25. And then in the other game, Virginia Tech and South Carolina, I have respect for Philip Montgomery, the new offensive coordinator of Virginia Tech, and Kyron Drones. I'm excited to see what he's going to do at quarterback. They're trying to figure out a new offensive line, and I think Lenora Sellers, who I also know and has been on the show, he's going to be too much. This is going to be one of the lopsided victories of the first weekend of football, and I have South Carolina winning this game somewhere around the region of 34-10 or 38-10 in this matchup. So that's where I'm going. The only other one I want to hit this morning, Murph, before we get to cards is Notre Dame and Miami. Two teams ranked in the top 10. They'll be playing Sunday, August 31st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC down at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. Notre Dame, Miami. Notre Dame has named a new starting quarterback. They were choosing between a true freshman and a true sophomore, and Miami has brought in Carson Beck coming off of an injury. What are your thoughts for this one?
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick against Miami. So I'm going to go with Miami, but I think it's going to be a really close game. They're at home. That always is an advantage when you're playing Notre Dame. So for me, I'd go Miami, but it's going to be pretty close. If you're betting it, I wouldn't be opposed to buying the line up to 3.5 and taking Miami and hoping worst case scenario they lose by 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough game for me to pick. To be completely honest about this is one that makes me sit here and kind of scratch my head of like, which side do I want to go on? Do I go with the young quarterback in Notre Dame, or do I go with a seasoned vet coming off of an injury in Miami? I'm going to give Miami the slight edge in this one, but I do think it's going to be a close game, and I was very close to picking Notre Dame. I don't want to make a liar out of myself, but I can't help myself but say that who's back playing Monday Night Football, even though he's a college coach now, and that is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Take that Monday night, because after the first week of college football, Monday night goes to the NFL. TCU at North Carolina, Bill Belichick as a college coach leading the Tar Heels. Thoughts on this one?
That's gonna be a fun one. Seeing Bill Belichick in his first game and coaching college football, and they are the underdog.
Yeah,
which is not a Bill Belichick thing to be. So, I want to pick North Carolina just to be fun. So I'd pick North Carolina, but to tell you the truth, I genuinely don't know much about that team and what Bill Belichick's been able to do. I just imagine he's more focused on building up good young men and potentially good NFL players. So I would think that would probably fare pretty well for North Carolina.
Yeah. Sonny Dykes at TCU I've spent time with, and I got a lot of respect for him. I just got to interview Bill Belichick. Of course, I have a lot of respect for him. This feels like a bowl game. That's why I love the things that they're doing in week 1 now in college football. They're getting you ramped up for these high-octane games that should be at the end of the season, but they're at the beginning of the season. TCU is a dangerous team, and they made it to the college football playoff. But Bill Belichick, how do you bet against a guy like Bill Bellies? So Murph went with North Carolina in this one. I'm also going to go with UNC to win their opening game here. I'm not going to be surprised if TCU wins, but I will lean on the side of North Carolina for this one and have them winning this game and edging out Bellies North Carolina edging out Sonny Dykes and them getting the victory here in Bill Belichick's first game coming in as a coach for the college side of things. So with that being said, Murph, we're going to go right into sports cards here as we have just a few moments before we wrap things up. So I will defer to you after letting people know that we appreciate you for being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. So Murph is going to go ahead and show you his cards momentarily. As Murph, I just want to get your final thoughts here, just your excitement for college football season here for a second, and then we'll do the cards. So just any notes you want to make.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with DJ Lagway at quarterback, I'm excited for the Gators this year. It's the type of thing that they're the type of team that can easily come out of what I would argue to be nowhere and surprise a lot of people. So I do think my Gators are going to be good this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they play. I really am, and they lost a lot on offense, and bring back Lagway, obviously the most important piece, and we'll see what happens. I mean, he's got 2 more years there, so I don't know if they're going to do anything good this year, but we'll see. They're ranked number 15, and I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely optimistic with that team. I am a lot more optimistic about that team than I am my Jets. But yeah, it'll be pretty fun. But card-wise, I don't really have all that much. I have a handful of cards that I've gotten in the last couple days. I did a show on Sunday, and a lot of the cards I bought I already sold. So,
all right. Well, show the few that you have, and then we'll finish things up here for this morning.
The one that I have, I kind of wish I didn't buy because he's such a baby, because he delayed the game on Monday by 20 minutes because of some microphones out in center field that have been there for the entire duration of Citi Field being open. This Triple Threads Alec Boehm auto.
Yeah.
Philly fans, if you want it, I'll give you a deal on it. I got this cool red, white, and blue prism Joe Burrow from his rookie year. We've got, and this just came in a trade from Veriswap, an RPA number to 199 of Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. We've got an Optic Blue Hyper CJ Stroud, PSA 10. Also, next to also for Veriswap, Disco Prism PSA 9 of Puka Nacua. Base Prism of Justin Herbert PSA 9. And then we got a Donruss Lamar Jackson SGC 10 rated rookie.
Yeah, so I have
It's about all I got as far as newbies.
Yeah, I got a few to show here. I made a deal really quick inside these Great Lakes Honda City studios. Sports Card Show and Tell, proudly presented by GG Cards and Breaks, our sports card and trading card shop of choice here in Central New York on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and on Sundays from 10 to 5. There was a guy that came in, brought all of his cards over to Josh, and Josh was taking a look at them. Josh picked out a bunch, and then I had the opportunity, because Josh is always in a very kind way, and the guys over there thinking of me. So he had kind of put a couple Jaguars aside, asked me if I was interested in them. He's like, if you are, then make a deal with the guy directly. And then there were other cards that this gentleman had. So I made 2 deals with him. And for the price of what I got everything, I'm very happy with this. I got my first Travis Hunter Jaguar card. It's a hot rookie. And so you got Travis Hunter with the Jaguars logo there. My first Travis Hunter rookie. And then I got this card right before this guy was moved. Brian Robinson Jr. Out of 243 here, numbered. And it's his Alabama RPA here, and it just says BR, and it's a refractor. And so it's a nice piece of his Alabama jersey plus his autograph, and he was just moved here. And there's enough Alabama fans and I might be able to get that somewhere. And then I have this card graded, and now I have this, I think it's in a white version and in a black version, and I think I have the white one graded. This is Kevin Durant's rookie card, all black. And then I have, I love this one, Chop Robinson from Penn State. I just love that he signs it Chop. So I got his autograph here, and this is on his rookie card. And then I have a Cam Rising auto. This one cost me just a couple bucks. It's also numbered. You could see it in the bottom corner here. Out of 30 in the world, 27 out of 30. And so I get these cards that if somebody shapes up and does well, then all of a sudden these are going to be worth a bunch. So I get them early. And I got another Jaden Daniels rookie. I just thought this was cool, writing Daniels through a picture of him here. And then speaking of getting somebody early, and then if things work out, good for getting it. This is numbered out of 49 in the world, and it is a clear card, and it's Nico Iamaleava, and it says Nico I is how he signed it. So this is his autograph, and it's a see-through card. And then I got this the first time I've ever had one of these, and I got it because I got a lot of cool cards of this guy, and I've actually traded a bunch of them away, or I should say sold a bunch of them. This one is out of, I think this is out of 5 in the world. I'm trying to look at this right now. It's hard to see. I think this is out of 3 in the world. This is a laundry tag red parallel of Leonard Fournette. I've never had a laundry tag card before.
That's cool.
So I got his
laundry tags are cool.
I got his laundry tag. And then this one's really cool. Looks like a Predator. And so they changed up these cards with tops. Fernando Tatis Jr. of the Padres. And this card's worth a good amount here. And instead of it being him, it is a Predator. And so it's a cool cartoon card of Fernando Tatis as a Predator from like the Alien vs. Predator stuff. So some cool stuff that I brought in, unique stuff, bunch of autographs in my first Travis Hunter. So happy with what I got here at GG Cards and Breaks, and just happened to go in when somebody brought in an awesome collection and got to hang out and get some good stuff. So with that being said, we thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Be with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time throughout the world. So with that being said, Murph, I want to thank you for being a part of the show as always. And you and I will have Labor Day off, and then September 8th, we will be back. If we can work out having Murph on at a different day of the week next week, then we'll try and get him on as well. But we'll be back on Mondays as our normal broadcast is. And as always, Mr. Murph, appreciate sharing the stage with you here on Wake Up Call.
Yes, sir, my friend. And as we speak, Keegan Bradley is making the announcements for the U.S. Ryder Cup captain's picks. So I will be paying attention to that the rest of the day. I know as of now, the ones that are definitely on the team, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, and Ben Griffin so far are the first 3 captain's picks that he has announced. So will Keegan pick himself? I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to the Ryder Cup at Bethpage in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to that and looking forward to having the conversation about it. Murph started with a Mets jersey, ended with a Jets hoodie. We'll talk with you soon, Murph.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. That coming here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, and a God bless to Murph and his loved ones, and look forward to speaking with him soon. I hope you have a wonderful day, everyone. You can find us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we appreciate you being with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time and beyond that. And of course, you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts by going to, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube by going to search us Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these outlets, or searching one word Wake Up Call DT. When you're on any of these, make sure to click subscribe and follow so that you stay with us. And of course, many thanks to our North Carolinian listeners, viewers, and supporters. Find the Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines on 1788 Old Morganton Road, down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course. And of course, many thanks to our partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes, Honda City, Carvel, DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A, Cicero, GG Cards and Breaks, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, Mother's Cupboard, where I have my own sandwich. You can get the Cuse Mac Mother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Right there, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. The Cuse Mac Mother, my sandwich, only at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Many thanks to Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world. Go and see their many locations at the New York State Fair, including Spud Shack and their lemonade stand. And of course, many thanks to Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A, DeWitt, and of course, Wake Up Call is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You'll find the Bobcat Buzz every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining me. Make sure you check them out here today, and we appreciate you so very much. To find the Bobcat Buzz on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the BSC Syracuse playlist. The Bobcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, and underneath the exclusive partners tab, we've done a ton of great moments with the Bobcats, ton of great interviews, exclusives that have come up, including a Bobcat takeover from campus in Syracuse on James Street up the road from downtown Syracuse. See it all on the YouTube channel, and of course on wakeupcalldt.com. Find them on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Binghamton University Bearcats. Find the Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. You'll also find the Bearcat Takeover that we did from the Event Center on site this week to start off the week and to welcome everybody back to campus. You'll find that in its full show, as well as a 5-part series where you could see my conversations with Athletics Director Gene Marshall, as well as volleyball head coach Allie Yeager, men's basketball head coach Lavelle Sanders, and Anna Buckwalter of the women's soccer team at Binghamton, as well as Alex Balke of the men's soccer team for the Bearcats. Find that and more on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find our Binghamton playlist. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. As always, thanks to Murph for being with us this week and every week. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Over 300 videos of Syracuse football over the years. A ton of videos going into this season are on our Facebook channel as well as on our YouTube channel, both at Wake Up Call DT. Go and see them today. They're also on X at Call DT and on Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Continue to vote in our polls on X, including our poll about Kyle McCord and where you'd like to see him go. And from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless. No stress. Do your best. This time next week, you'll know the newest school that's joining us, as well as our 2 other partners here in Central and Upstate New York.